Welcome. Hello. Welcome to episode 29. The year in the rewind is 1993. Now, I want to let you know that I'll see you as you come in. I see Karen. I see 420 Wall Dragon. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for joining again. I know it's Saturday. It may be really snowy and cold wherever you are, but I hope you can hang out. If you're watching on the replay, I hope you enjoy. So let's start with 1993, making some connections and drawing some dots. What is it called? Connecting the dots. Something so simple. All right, so let's look at the title, which I call it Chaos, Cults, Clinton, and Cultural Carpet Bombing, right? If I could say that word. In this new censor happy culture. I think they're starting to relax a bit on the censorship. Who's getting there we are. 420 is living up to his name. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate you hanging out, keeping us in the chatmosphere from being pestered by trolls. Thank you, Karen. All right, so a lot was going on in 1993. It feels again like a psyop heavy year. And maybe this is just the norm, and we definitely were not aware of how much mind control this culture exerts on the minds. It's truly to be studied, and I know people study it. It is a science. So we can see on the title here, whoa, look who joined us. I just want to stop, if you don't mind, to say welcome to Joseph. Yay, he made it. Joseph, this is a hard time to check in with us here, but we want to thank you, Joseph. We've missed you. Joseph is joining us from Ireland. So we love when you were here. Thank you, Joseph. So nice to have you. Yes, so Joseph, you will remember a lot about this year, 1993. I'm sure you were aware of a lot of the stuff going on. One thing that was interesting is that Prince, the artist who has now passed on, imagine we have had so many artists that have passed on that I would not have thought that we are looking at. So many of them have gone on to glory. So Prince, at this time in 1993, he had drawn slave on his face. So he wrote the word slave, and he went by a symbol that was you could not really say what it was. It was an unspeakable symbol. Juan is here. Juan, thank you for joining. Wow, this is great. Juan, thank you so much. Hope you're having a great one. Okay, so let us go to the first slide, please. Let's look at the next one in this cultural retrospective. Okay, so is that yeah, okay. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Oh no, here we are. That's next, right there. Isn't it right here? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we have the inauguration of President Bill Clinton and First Lady Hillary Clinton. And if we look at this without knowing what we know now, they look like a great, just a wonderful couple. In terms of optics, they're young. Hillary is very vibrant, and I think she's beautiful. I happen to love the gown that she wore. I remembered this gown all of these years because you don't often see navy blue when it comes to a formal. But this gown, it was unique. I just thought it was such a lovely gown. And I have to give Hillary credit for this time in her life. She really made it work really well. So she represented well for the inauguration. But if you look at this shot, I found it quite telling. The background to the Clintons here, you see the star and how it happens to be positioned. So I found that to be quite telling. Yes, Juan, I know. But I'm just saying, when you're right, I'm with you. When you're wrong, I don't know. But they were hitting all of the cylinders right then, as far as we knew. Okay. All right. So next slide. So we're getting into the Clinton administration. We had no idea. So Clinton, he nominated Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Okay, so now is the rise of the Supergirl boss, Supreme Court Justice. So she's going to pave the way and do a lot. She's a very extreme justice when it comes to ideology and liberal. You are aware of a lot of her positions that we learned about. I did not know she was as radical as she was, but you can look at these early pictures of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I love the picture. It looks like the 60s, the top picture there, and it's just something to see when people were in their youth and the beauty of youth and the promise. And of course, everybody with their free will, they make their decisions, what path they want to go down. And it starts to tell, you can see it later on in their body and their face. And you can just see how that works out for them. But I found it to be fascinating to look at this slice of time when she was a young and beautiful woman. And you can see the young and vibrant Joe Biden. And he's just so happy, right? So you met him. The man you met Biden. And so you can look at Biden back then, and he just so much different, the spirit and everything. I know people age, but the Biden that we got was so vastly different that people, they spread rumors that maybe it wasn't this guy here from the original cast. So let's look at the next slide. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And we also have an appointment of Janet Reno. Okay. And I want us to look at Janet Reno here. And also, the thing about the Clinton years, he came in and I think he started making changes, drastic changes pretty quickly, going into his role, what they wanted him for. The wars that broke out in the Balkans, and he just seemed to be very busy in these theaters. But in terms of policies, strange policies like don't ask, don't tell for our military when it came to LGB. We didn't have all the extra TQs and all that, but it was just LGB. And they did not want, I guess, to tell if they were gay. It was a strange policy, but this was something he pretty much pushed the don't ask, don't tell policy. And then Janet Reno comes in, and you can look at her, and I'm sure a lot of you might want to question certain things. I don't know what's going on here, but very, very telling. So let's go to the next image in 1993. Now we have another weird cult that gives the same vibes as the People's Temple down in Guyana. This is the Branch Davidians, a cult. And they were, on their compound, and there was a standoff. They were fighting against the government, and the ATF, because they had arms, they were a sovereign, I guess, group. And the FBI, ATF, pretty much, this was a disaster, how they sieged this compound, and it did not turn out well, and it was a bad look on Janet Reno. So you can see the leader here is David Koresh, and he was going to have he negotiated that he was going to, surrender, but he had some demands, and he didn't keep his word. From what the narrative, he didn't keep his side, the agreement. So it didn't work out well at all. And it's just a strange feeling now in terms of the Clintons and then the Bush administration. It's a lot of overlapping that is obvious at this point. They were definitely on the same page. So this is the compound before the bombing and everything happened. And I think they had many days where they resisted. And I'm trying to think how many days. Was it 11 days that they were holed up in their compound before everything went kaboom? So let's look at the next slide, please. So Janet Reno has her hands full, as they say here. David Koresh felt that he was some form of a messiah coming to save at least his group there, the Branch Davidians. So you can see the headlines, the tragedy in Waco, and it was a lot of memes and jokes. And I'm saying memes in terms of jokes that became viral before the memeology that you see today. But they were saying Waco stands for what a cookout. Did you hear that? Like, it was a lot of really dark jokes. Saturday Night Live may have even approached the line of decency and comedy, but of course, they took more risks back then with comedy, and they didn't wait and give it time. They came and just started with the jokes right away. So I remember that was one of them that they said Waco stood for, what a cookout. And of course, that's like gallows humor, whatever you want to call it, very dark. So let's look at the next slide. Also, we have the Battle of Mogadishu. And we're seeing the circling and cycling of the same history repeating itself. So we see the pirates of Somalia and a battle of Mogadishu. And if you look at Bush here, you can see that the Bush administration and then these battles and then the Clintons pretty much picking up where they left off or something. But this is a repeating cycle of the same nations. And I want to just say within a 40-year, if you look at generations. So we're just looking at a whole cycling back of the same problems. And yeah, and now we've inherited a lot of issues when it comes to Somalia. We have a bad problem going on, and we need some. Of course, we have solutions that are happening at the moment, but it's just unreal how this is unfolded to the point that we have what we have today in America, in Minnesota, in Maine, because they have an issue in Maine also. Yeah. Wow. Okay, next slide. The Catholic Church, okay, right here. The Pope, he beatified a man from the, what ages? The 1600s, was it? This is a philosopher, and they wanted to, I'm gonna get it. Just bear with me. Okay. So a philosopher and theologian, Duns Scotus, had declared that the Virgin Mary was also of an immaculate conception. So let's go back over this again. Not only was Jesus Christ conceived in an immaculate conception, they have gone further and said that Mary was conceived in the same way. Immaculate conception of a virgin. So this is something that departs from, I would say, what is the term? Protestant, I guess. Yeah, beliefs. So they put Mary on a very high level in Catholicism, and this is proof right here that they do. So the Pope did that in 1993. I didn't know that. So yeah, I don't know what they do at this point with that. If anything has changed, I doubt it. So there you are. Next slide. And we have a televangelist, Robert Tilton. I didn't know this man's name, but I remember his face. And we had such an era of the televangelists, and I got caught up in some of it. I like certain televangelists that I followed. I used to watch TBN and what was the other religious channel, but I liked some of the pastors or evangelists, as they call them. And this guy right here was really popular. And his name being, again, Robert Tilton. And he announced in 1993 that he was divorcing his wife. So this is one of those things that it's no wonder that our families are in the condition in this nation that they are in, when people that are supposed to be leaders that set the tone and example are divorcing their wives and making it public, and also claiming to have the priesthood on their shoulders. But it just goes to show that marriage started breaking down so much from the time they started the no fault divorce. And yeah, a lot of the pastors have been divorced and remarried. But this is just, it just shows us that the fabric of America, this is what has happened, the breakdown of the family. And these guys have not been good at holding a standard. Yeah. But they were good at collecting money and building kingdoms of greed, selling handkerchiefs, blessings you get from the handkerchiefs, and all of the things that these guys have been involved in over these years. And it's a disgrace. It's shameful. They've lost all of their credibility and influence. So they had a good run, but it's over. A lot of this stuff, we're watching the collapse of a lot of the world in which we used to live. And we are going into a different world, a better world. But this world we're coming out of with this kind of foolishness, I do not miss it. I will not miss it. And it's time to cleanse our culture. Yeah. So next slide. Now, the psyops and just how they have to reinforce the traumas. And as I look at it in retrospect, it's very manipulative. You know, we've gone over the episodes where they have Alex Haley with the whole roots and the transatlantic slave, chattel slave narrative. So they keep that going. The same players. You have Steven Spielberg, if he doesn't team up with Oprah Winfrey to keep the slave narrative going. But also, he also keeps the Holocaust narrative going. So we have in 1993 Schindler's List, which I went to see, and I was weeping so hard. This movie was traumatic, but it's something that the programming, as I'm looking back, it was just so planned. And I want to ask the question, because in 1993, not only did the Schindler's List movie come out, but Bill Clinton, he dedicated the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. Now, I never saw anything odd about it. I never did. I thought it made a lot of sense. But I want to ask, does it make sense to have a museum of this traumatic historical just tragedy on our soil when it did not happen on our soil? This was something that happened in a foreign land. Why do we have museums and memorials on this land that it did not happen on? I'm just asking the question because that is odd to me. Because we've had other tragedies that have happened in other lands. Why don't they have museums? You know, Rwanda, then they have a, genocide. The Armenian genocide and stuff. Why don't we have museums to them? Why do we? I don't get this. This is really something that we're going to have to come to a reckoning about this, because these things have caused a lot of trauma, and to have it repeated and reinforced is not healthy, because at some point we have to forgive and heal and move on. But if we're going to keep rehashing these histories and narratives of trauma, tragedy, why? I question it all now. I question museums, just in the theme of a museum. I'm not going to enjoy museums anymore like I used to. So, yeah. Next slide. And for me to be asking these questions, it really, let me tell you, I've come a long way in terms of questioning certain things that used to be so sacred. I was programmed to never do it because it had curses attached to it. That's what the church programmed us to believe. And that manipulation is something that when you come out of it, you're really angry. You feel very betrayed. But okay, moving on. So we have Crystal Pepsi, if you remember. Crystal Pepsi in 1993 debuted. And it was a short-lived idea. I don't know who came up with such an idea, but I never liked Pepsi so much, so I didn't try this. But I remember when this came out. And imagine, who would think that a Pepsi-Cola should be clear like water? This looks crazy. I'm just looking at it now and just thinking, I can't believe they did this. This has to be a psyop. So Crystal Pepsi, and then you have Diet Crystal Pepsi. Doesn't that just sound suspect? Everything about it. Diet Crystal, and it's in a can. So you're drinking a clear cola in a can. It's so much wrong with that. I can't wrap my head around how many things are wrong with all of this. And they had to incorporate hip hop and get like Salt and Pepper and Biz Markie and all of these people. They were having a concert where they had all of these top acts, and they're trying to push this Crystal Pepsi, but it was a big flop. A big flop. Look at Joseph said crystal meth. Does that look crazy? I'm just saying, like, who thought this was a good idea? Also, just so you know, they said they found syringes in the Crystal Pepsi. Syringes. Are you kidding me? I don't remember this, but I just couldn't believe that we lived through all of this psyop. So yeah, Crystal Pepsi, it flopped as quickly as it debuted. Crystal Pepsi. I can't believe this. My goodness, cuckoo. All right, so yeah, wow. Next slide. Crystal Pepsi. Boy, oh boy. You have to really give up on yourself to drink that. I'm sorry if you all liked it, but you probably didn't like it. Okay, again, let me re-emphasize that Bill Clinton was what's the word? He was christened the first Black president by Toni Morrison, the author, poet, author. She won in 1993. She won a Pulitzer Prize in Literature. And I found that is convenient because she also gave him this moniker as being the first Black president. And wow. And you have Maya Angelou, an activist poet. She recited a poem that she wrote for Bill Clinton during his inaugural ceremony. So you have these powerhouse women, literature stars, and he's just bringing out this. He's just a black president, right? Okay, so we see the proof. Of course, he has the endorsement of these women, and you could see he was. They said he wasn't very good as a saxophone player. I don't really remember, but I guess he had been at it for a long time. You could see him as a young man. But I think he's the kind of guy that he knows how to do just enough of everything to. I think that's part of his charisma. Look at what he did on Arsenio with the saxophone. Yeah, but that's Slick Willie. Didn't they call him Slick Willie? He was a smooth operator. I remember now. I do. A smooth operator. Okay, so let's look at the next slide. You said he looks black to you. He might be. It's a lot of people passing. Come on. All right, so Bill Clinton, he signed the NAFTA agreement. Now, NAFTA sent a lot of our manufacturing out of our country. So it affected our economy, and we're living the backlash of all of this stuff. So you can look at the men overlooking him signing this NAFTA. So North American, where you Canada, Mexico, and these trade agreements, and just even global trade, everything affected our way of life. I mean, you can see in the little towns in the South where people had a lot of industry, and these companies moved overseas. You have tire companies moving to India. And these are companies that men used to raise their families. They had overtime. They had lots of overtime. So a man could just make as much money as he wanted. And people did very well. Once these trade agreements that favored other nations, of course, these people are globalists, and they have no loyalty to this nation, and they'll sell the nation out to the highest bidder. So if they have to do something to build up another nation's economy where it hurts America, that's just what these guys were doing, destabilizing our communities. And just the war was not just foreign, it was here, right on our soil. So this is further deindustrializing our cities and towns. And then when you see the fallout from these kind of things, like I gave the example, a tire company moving to India, and then you start seeing food deserts, and it affects the health of the people. So people like Bill Clinton, he has a lot to answer for, not just the Epstein files and all of that. This man has done so much damage. He and his wife, so much damage. Yeah. So let's look at the next slide. And he did it with that slick smile and just, yeah. So I am fascinated with CERN. I know we started talking about CERN. It seemed like maybe I became aware of CERN 2016, 15, around that time maybe. But CERN has been out here busy for a long time. And I'm starting to realize through these retrospectives that CERN has been very instrumental in the internet coming to, to the market. I did not know this. So now we're looking at the fact that CERN had something to do with the very first web page, okay? Web page and search. So the World Wide Web, they the engineers over and at CERN, they released the source code to the World Wide Web. Just think about that. The source code was released in 1993 by CERN, and they wanted to make it freely available to everyone. So I'm thinking open source. And that was the initial desire. But it was CERN. And I know a lot of people they're scared about AI being evil. But what about the fact that the whole World Wide Web was given to the world by CERN of all places? So I don't know, everybody. I did not know CERN was that busy this early on. And I thought they were busy with the Large Hadron Collider, and they were splitting atoms and everything. No, maybe that's and what, opening portals? But they're also giving us the World Wide Web and advancements so we can now get to where we are now. Hey, Wyoming chick, welcome. They have been trying to open portals at CERN. Yes, exactly. So they're up to a lot more than opening portals. It's a lot going on. So I just wanted to let you know that I didn't realize this. I'm learning as I'm doing these rewinds. So let's look at the next slide. You said Joseph. Oh, hi. Yeah, hi there. All right, next slide. So we're starting to see the child actor archetype begin to collapse with this generation of child actors. Of course, not in our generation, but they've always had the child actor tragedies. You had your Judy Garlands and some of those earlier Shirley Temple. But we've also had a lot in my generation. And these children here, terrible, terrible tragedy. You cannot tell me that something didn't happen to these children in Hollywood, because all of them had downfalls, and 2 of them are not alive. Wow, they had issues, right? They had some really bad issues. So in 1993, Todd Bridges was being arrested on drug charges, like constant drug. He was even, I think he shot somebody, I think, or was threatening to shoot somebody. He was in trouble a lot. And I do remember the news headlines with him. He was constantly getting in trouble. So he was just doing bad. Then you had Gary Coleman. He was suing his parents. So he had a lot going on with his parents and his health. He had bad kidneys, I believe, or liver, from what I remember. He had some health issues that were very bad. And he was also robbed by his parents, his money. And I know they have to put the money in a trust for those children in California. So I don't know how they were able to steal millions of dollars from him. And he had to sue them. Really nasty stuff. But we know that he died at an early age, and just very tragic. You see Dana Plato, who played their sister. She also fell on really bad times and died early. Very sad. But yeah, Todd Bridges, again, he was constantly in the news for either one thing or another. If it wasn't some type of altercation, it was drugs. And let's look at the next slide. So this is fascinating. I'm using fascinating a lot, not interesting. I'm trying to give interesting a break. Okay, so we have Bill Nye, the science guy, debuted in 1993. And I want you to look at this man because when I look at him, he gives me wizard vibes. He looks like a wizard, a warlock or a wizard. Now, let me just say that this man, he had a show that became so popular. His look, he looks like a science teacher. Everything, the whole ordeal, this whole thing. But what was he reinforcing? Because I don't trust that he was a scientist for real. I mean, I don't know. Let me see. Let me look up Bill Nye. Bill Nye, the science guy. Did you all ever watch his show? Bill Nye. Okay, Bill Nye, an American science education television program. So he created this program. And you know, when they do it as an educational thing, it really flies under the radar. Now, I want to tell you that Disney is behind this. Disney is behind Bill Nye. So we can already tell from that. And it aired on PBS and Noggin. PBS and Noggin. So, yeah. And that's not his name. Bill Nye is not his name, just so you know. And he did a little bit of, it looks like he did some experiments and things on the show. But yeah, that is just a creation. Let's see, Bill Nye. What is his real? William Stanford Nye. So he was a mechanical engineer for Boeing in Seattle. So he did have mechanical engineer. They say he was born in Washington, D.C., went to Cornell. It says, oh my goodness, didn't I say a wizard? Oh, it does say he was aspiring to become the next wizard. So it is. They're actually saying that he's a wizard. Look at that. And that was just me thinking it. When I look at him, he gives me wizard vibes. So let's see. What is his real name? He was born November 27th. His father was a code breaker. Yeah, interesting, in the war. Maybe that, I don't know. They didn't give me his real name. I don't think Bill Nye is his real name. But anyway, we won't belabor. But Disney is suspect, right? Okay. So we already see the globe. As soon as you see that, you already know heliocentrism. So let's look at the next slide. And I like the bow tie. You know, it had a really good look. Very, very quirky and fun. Hey, the Lizzie is back. You feel bad for certain children actors, that have been, used as cash cows, right? So sad. So I wanted to show you, there was a reason why I had a feeling about Bill Nye. I just couldn't put my finger on it. But when I saw some of the company that he hung out with, Google says his name is William Sanford Nye. Okay, thank you, William Sanford Nye. So he hangs out with, look at that. Need I say any more? Yep, Tyson. What's his name? Oh, good old Tyson. Tyson, right? And then Obama's in there. And the picture of him on the bottom, he looks like Abraham Lincoln a little bit, right? To me. But I find this very telling. So it says that his one man's mission to make science matter. Yep, we're not in the club 420. Oh, look who he's hanging out with. All bad actors, right? So this let me know that I wasn't just feeling this way for no reason. We are not in the club. But they're pushing science. They want us to trust them as authorities when it comes to science. So yeah. Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye. Look at them in their stunner shades. Oh my. They think that we were just going to keep staying under their spell. These wizards. Okay, next slide. Let's see what else is going on in 93. Thank you for joining. If you're just joining, I want to thank you. Follow the DNA. Yeah. All right. I know people defend the games. In 1993, we had, well, I'll first start off with the Intel Pentium microprocessor. So we're starting to see how the microprocessing of our computers is getting faster and faster. So we have the Intel Pentium. So, you know, the word Pentium means something 5. So it's 5 times the strength or speed. So we're starting to get some real speed going. And Doom, this game, was pioneering, they say, because it was the first-person shooter video game that was uploaded onto the internet. So we're now getting into first-person shooter games. And I don't know what you think, what's your opinion, but there are some people that believe that this is what contributed to a lot of the school shootings and just the people not having any feelings. It desensitized our young people to violence. You know, you had more sophisticated games like the one that came out, the Grand Auto Theft, and we can see how it started. And the name is Doom. So they let you know what the name, Doom Eternal. I mean, this is terrible that we've normalized this darkness, and we wonder why, again, the mental health is what it is now. If we're playing games called Doom Eternal, first-person shooter, crazy. Next slide. And the processing is getting faster so we can make our first-person shooter games more realistic, huh? Wow, what progress. All right, so in 1993, we had Lorena Bobbitt. So we had, in the previous episode, we had the Long Island Lolita. Now we have Lorena Bobbitt. And it's weird how every year we have this really bizarre story of a woman scorned or just some kind of telenovela, drama, soap opera. Let's see, the Lizzie says birds of the same feather flock together, don't they? Absolutely. So we have this woman, she crashed out, okay, and she cut off the penis of her husband. And she did it because I believe she said he was violent, so she may have suffered some domestic abuse, but he was also, I guess, cheating on her and all kinds of stuff. So this woman crashed out and she cut his penis off. And I remember hearing she threw it out of the window of the car. And the what is it, first responders had to go and find his penis. She threw it out the window of the car. Can you imagine? This was one of those things that it had men in a chokehold. Let's tell the truth. This was an attack on men because this woman did the ultimate, like, this had to be a ritual when you think about it, a weird ritual. And I don't know a lot of the details. Hey, paint dance. How does she get close enough to him to do? How did he let her? Oh no, I don't want to be unkind to the victim, but I'm just saying how. I don't remember the details. How was she able to do this so successfully? His wife cut his private. Oh, in the same year that you're saying private parts, what's his name? Howard Stern had a book titled Private Parts. I mean, don't you see the psyop that we have been under? And, they then take Lorena Bobbitt as an archetype of a vengeful woman, a woman scorned. They say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And this is an archetype that gets fed, okay? And they show, now we have shows like Snapped. That's not a good idea to watch shows like that, women. I just want you to know, if you haven't figured that out, not a good idea. Allegedly, he had been raping her. Yes, that's it. She did bring charges, and I think that began the whole conversation with, could a wife be raped by her husband? So it brought up a lot of ethical conversation about a wife and her rights, but still she cut the penis off of her husband. So hey, I'm just saying it's a little more complicated, this case. Would you say? I'm just saying. Bizarre. But you can see that he became a weird type of celebrity after this. Weirdness. You can see him with the blonde on his arm. He's famous now. They were able to reattach his man parts, and I guess everything's working out for him. Yep. So let's look at the next case. And when you look at Lorena Bobbitt, she looks like she's very blunted in her affect. So when you look at the eyes of a lot of these people, I really look at MK. They look MK Ultra to me. The lights are not on in the eyes. Okay, so we have, in 1993, we have a couple of cases of people that unalived abortion providers. So we have two doctors that were taken out by people. One was taken out by a woman, and the other doctor was taken out. I'm trying to think. They didn't make a big deal out of the person that took him out, but two abortion providers were taken out, and these people were in DC demanding that Janet Reno put these people in jail, of course. And one of the doctors, his name was Dr. Gunn. So that's weird. Dr. Gunn gets gunned down. Just a lot. I don't know what I'm looking at sometimes. So crazy. So I'm glad this didn't continue, so they can have a narrative that the right wants to take abortion people out. That is nothing that happens on a normal basis. And they just have never been able to get these narratives to really stick. But they've tried. So that happened in 1993. Next slide. So this is the woman who took out Dr. George Tiller. So you can look at her and I don't know. What do you see? Very suspicious to me. So this woman went to jail, and Dr. George Tiller, the abortion provider, he famously coined the term trust women. Is that ironic? Trust women. Just, you can't make this stuff up. Isn't that bizarre? So trust women. Alrighty, so next slide. So the usual suspect, we have Steven Spielberg. He is reinforcing the psyop of dinosaurs. And I take particular issue with this because I noticed in little boys, like the clothing, the pajamas, the toys, everything is dinosaurs. If you have a little boys, dinosaurs are enforced early. They are, I don't know, it's obvious now to me. Why is this happening? Where everything you get for a little baby boy has dinosaurs, and it's so cute. Dinosaurs, they play, the toys, everything dinosaurs. And we have Jurassic Park that came out in 93. And I just look at Steven Spielberg and I see how he has kept these narratives going. He also looks like a wizard warlock to me. Something about him gives that vibe. So, yep, there we go. The dinosaurs coming to get you. Jurassic Park. Let's look at the next slide. So this is what I mean when I gave the title Cultural Carpet Bombing, because we have RuPaul rising right now. This is the ascent of the cross-dressing transgender, which is coming next. But RuPaul became a cultural icon. Just really quickly, the rise to prominence. And we also had, I'm just looking at this whole thing. You have the marriage or whatever of Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain. So they were looked at as this grunge couple goals. And Courtney Love was very problematic, as you can see. But I don't know, we were rooting for them. They were a cute little family. But just look at how RuPaul is holding the baby. The baby's crying, of course. But you could even look at Kurt Cobain. He looks like, in a lot of pictures, I was looking at some of the pictures, he looked like he wasn't going along with this charade that you have to put up with in order to be famous. It just has so many, just everything about the optics is off very much. So let's look at the next slide. Mercedes Q, yay, welcome. You said my sentiments exactly regarding the right? You've noticed that there's dinosaurs everywhere. And also we had, in 1993, we had a famous interview with Oprah Winfrey interviewing Michael Jackson. So she went to Neverland Ranch. And later, we realize a lot about Oprah and how much of a snake, in my opinion, that she is towards her friends. her so-called friends, because what I understood is that Oprah was trusted by the Jackson family initially, and she betrayed them from what I can remember. She betrayed the family when she did this hit piece, this interview, and she didn't do it in good faith. Just like Gail, when she did the interview with R. Kelly and he was crashing out, remember he was having a fit and she was just sitting there, and she and Oprah, I don't like who they are in our culture. I don't like what they represent. It's really dark. But what she did to Michael Jackson was disgusting, and she's just somebody that I was wrong about her. I was so wrong. I used to really like her, but she is a snake, in my opinion, a real nasty snake, a viper. Yes, she really is. So let's look at the next slide. And she allowed fame and fortune to really change her. We got to see it in real time. Now, in 1993, we have the Unabomber sending bombs. You got mail. Boom. He sent a mail bomb to a professor at Yale. Can you imagine? What in the heck was going on with this guy? Hello. Yes, that's what she is. Globalist, very much so. But can you imagine? This dude sent a mail bomb, and the professor that he sent the mail bomb to was involved in technology, computer technology. So he had some kind of beef with certain people. I never read his manifesto, so I don't know, but I remember his brother was the one who turned him in, right? But he had been up to these shenanigans for quite a long time. So Ted Kaczynski, lots of weird. And you look at his eyes, same thing, the dead eyes of MK Ultra. So let's look at the next slide. So 93 was a crazy year. Mail bombs. And we have also in 1993, we have the Weinstein brothers selling Miramax. This is their company, Miramax. We talked about Miramax when it debuted. So Miramax sold to Disney. So Disney buys Miramax in 1993. But check this out. Disney keeps the Weinstein brothers as the head of the division. So isn't that an interesting way of just shuffling things around? So again, follow this. Disney buys Miramax from the Weinstein brothers, but allows them to continue to run the division. Interesting. So we have Harvey Weinstein, who looks like a wizard, warlock to me, in my opinion. A warlock. It doesn't look like it's a good time for the warlocks. It seems like their magic has really gotten weak. Warlocks down bad. Next slide. So we have one of our faves, right? We have JFK Jr. He looks like a podcast bro right there, doesn't he? So JFK Jr., he resigned from the district attorney career. He resigned, and he had a winning record. He was doing well, winning cases. And He resigned so that he could pursue other things in 1993. And this is when he was positioning himself to run for Senate and ultimately president, as well as he started a media company, which was very brilliant when you think about it, to have a media company, George Magazine, which he was going to deal with politics and culture, pop culture and politics. So very, very, I think pioneering. It was fun. And he brought a certain just energy to it all. So yeah, he quit his job in 1993 to pursue other things. So let's look at the next slide. And also in 1993, we have the X-Files debuting. Did any of you watch the X-Files? Because this was a great show to begin the conversation about things that were not mainstream, normie stuff. It just made it fun to hear people talking about things that were just a little bit off the beaten path. But I never watched this show for some reason. I don't know. It didn't interest me for some reason. But I know that it was well done, and a lot of my friends loved this show. Maybe I'll watch an old episode or something, or just check it out. All right, so it deals with the supernatural and everything, the occult, the X-Files, clandestine. What is the Mueller and Scully or something? So let's look at the next slide. Who watched the X-Files? Any X-Files people? Let me know. All right, next slide. Is that it? That was it, huh? I have one. I don't have music to play right now, but I have just one thing I want to share before I sign off. Also, let me see. Beavis and Butthead debuted in 1993, and it made everybody feel like we lost 20 points in our IQ watching Beavis and Butthead. But let's see. There was a lot more going on. But let's see if I can play. I have a little video I want to share before we sign off. So 1993, what a year. Lots going on. I didn't cover even half of it. Oh, also in 1993, CDs started to replace cassettes. That was something that was okay. Let's just watch a little video, okay, on our way out. Thank you for joining again.
How to sing it? Wait. Yeah. And when you are, for instance, when we were here before, you know what? I mean, all the things ever printed in the tabloid, the only thing's ever been true is when they said I couldn't dance.
It doesn't
when we were here
seem
the last
to
time
matter,
shooting
and
the
it
commercial,
doesn't seem
you were like
the
in
wheel is
between
right
shots,
on
running off,
like
conceiving the
crying
dance,
men.
choreographing the dance. You were up all night dancing.
Every day, and she didn't leave.
You have to name it to claim it. So here's my definition of what wellness means to me. This is my definition, not yours, just an idea, because you're going to be defining it for yourself. Wellness to me means all things in balance. And balance doesn't mean all things are equal or at peace at all times. Wrong shoes.
Okay, I just wanted to share that. Watch it with you. That was Oprah Winfrey. I have to laugh about it because it made me angry at one point where she's interviewing Michael Jackson, and he's doing like his thing, and she's just continuing the interview and he's ignoring her. I thought that was so funny. But then when she falls, you've heard the people say that the ghost of Michael Jackson pushed her. I thought that was so funny, but that's what the people were saying online. See you next fall, Oprah. So yeah, they said the ghost of Michael Jackson pushed her over on the stage. You were a big fan of the X-Files? Oh, cool. And also, when Oprah fell on stage, just, I don't know, seemingly nothing happened that should have made her fall. But when she fell and she said shoes, wrong shoes. That's one of my favorite parts when she says wrong shoes. Hey, Marlon, can we play it? Do you mind, you guys? Let's watch it one more time. Can we watch it one more time? Okay. And watch it closely. This is Oprah trying to interview Michael Jackson, and she's just pushing her agenda. She's not stopping to listen to his beatbox. She just wants to continue with her agenda. So let's watch it again. I love it. Okay. One more time.
Out of singing, wait.
Yeah. And when you are, for instance, when we were here before, you know what? I mean, all the things ever printed in the tabloid, the only thing's ever been true is when they said I couldn't dance.
It
When we were
doesn't
here the
seem
last
to
time
matter,
shooting the
and it
commercial,
doesn't
you
seem
were like
the
in
will is
between
brought
shots,
over
running
kiss
off,
me like crying
conceiving the
little
dance,
men.
choreographing the
Judge
dance.
my
You were up all night
composure 'cause I'm
dancing.
bothered every day,
Uh,
and she didn't leave.
You have to name it to claim it. So here's my definition of what wellness means to me. This is my definition, not yours, just an idea, because you're going to be defining it for yourself. Wellness to me means all things in balance. And balance doesn't mean all things are equal or at peace at all times. Choose.
Thank you for watching. Wrong shoes. Wrong shoes, Oprah. Absolutely wrong shoes. Hey, Yvette shines bright. Welcome. Fall on her face, right? So that was Oprah. Oprah. Wow. We never thought she would be the Oprah we have today. All right. So I want to thank you for joining. I will be back Tuesday with a retrospective. I might be back sooner with another live stream, just something that might pop up, okay? But we're up to 30? Episode 30 will be at 1994. What were you doing in 1994? But I will keep you posted. I will let you know about the live stream. But I want to talk about something fun. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I'll let you know, okay? It'll just be something I upload. So, yeah, we'll be episode 30, 1994, next live stream, okay? So thanks for joining. I will see you soon, and I will look for your comments. If you have any questions, comments, I'm going to start doing a call-in where you could call and we could talk, but we're going to be planning on doing this on a regular basis, okay? Developing more, but just give me time. I'm still on my learning curve for some of my technology, okay? All right, so take care and have a good weekend. Bye-bye.